Hey boys, welcome to round 1 of the NRL 2016, my prediction type thing. So yeah, what I've got up at the moment, I couldn't really find anything good. I wanted to go on the NRL.com site and just get the matches head by head and the team list lined up, but the NRL.com for some reason doesn't have the updated teams, so this is what we got to work with here. I'm just going to go through my tips. Obviously, I'm going to talk about the games, give you a preview and that sort of thing, and in the comments, write down your tips and that sort of stuff, and bit of a contest, I guess. But yeah, I will mention just as a note here, just people, I can understand, people are probably going to get offended. Well, not offended, but if I say a team shit or I say a player shit, don't take it too seriously. It's all meant to be in a bit of a joke, and I know I'm going to offend someone if I say someone shit, but with that out of the way, let's get into it. So the first game, Thursday night, it is Tuesday night, so got to get this uploaded by tomorrow probably, but the Eels v the Broncos. So straight away, it's an easy tip for me. I'm obviously picking the Broncos, and if you watch my top 8 prediction video, I did say that the Eels, I didn't think that side was actually that strong, but and I still stand by that. I feel like their forwards aren't that good, especially with Watmo being ruled out. He's not been in the best form of late, but he's still a good player. But obviously, Michael Jennings, Kieran Foran, Michael Gordon, both Scots will all be making their debuts for the club, and Tape Marawa goes into the lock spot for Watmo. Obviously, Tape Marawa is a bit of a young gun, but looking at their side, the backline is actually pretty solid. The halves are unknowns. I don't know. I'm not sure about the halves pairing of Foran and Norman. I don't think Kieran Foran is much of a... I don't think he's a halfback. It doesn't really matter too much in the NRL nowadays, but yeah, we'll see how that combination goes. They could be really solid, and this is the reason why it's a bit of a danger game for the Broncos. They're probably expected to win, but the Eels, they're pretty unknown, so they could come out and play a good game. But I am tipping the Broncos. I'm not going to, with these tips, I'm not going to say plus 13 or under that. I'm just going to say who I think is going to win. So I'm going to go with the Broncos, obviously. Then next up, what's the next game here? Sea Eagles versus Bulldogs. So look at the Sea Eagles here. Curacao has recovered from a shoulder injury, and he will start at hooker with Parcell on the bench. Now, honestly, it doesn't really matter too much. They could have gone with Parcell or Curacao coming off the bench. They're both they're similar. I'd probably say Parcell is more of a danger off the bench. He's a really good player, so it's a big inclusion. And then a few injuries here, but they are playing. So Brett Stewart, Lewis Brown, and Mateo have been named despite injuries. So we'll see if they actually play. I don't know how serious it is. The one omission, though, is Brenton Lawrence is not in the side for whatever reason. They don't say he's injured here, and that's pretty surprising. Brenton Lawrence, obviously last year he was out the whole year through injury, which is a shame, but because I think he's a very good player. But I don't know what the deal is this year. But the Sea Eagles are a very strong side this year. I think they're going to do very well, like I said in my top 8 prediction. Stewart, Tafua, Lyon, Matai, Chaboyevich, and Cherry Evans, very good backline. Dylan Walker, we'll see how he goes at 5'8". Jamie Lyon and him could definitely switch around during the game. And then the forward pack, Chaboyevich, Arvau, Curacao, Nate Miles, Lewis Brown, Nathan Green. Don't know about him. He's making, is this his debut? Maybe not debut, but he's a young guy, I'm guessing. Mines of Power, and then Parcell Leary, Lussick, Mateo, Vave. So they got a strong side. And then the Bulldogs, though, they are missing Bretton Morris, this is a big loss for the Bulldogs, out till round 16 with a knee injury. And that means Chase Stanley is coming into the side at centre with Will Hopewadi going to fullback. Now that is a huge loss. But I've got to say, Chase Stanley, I rate him very highly. Will Hopewadi can definitely play fullback. So, Brett Morris obviously a big loss, but I feel like they cover it fairly well. And David Clemmer is also the other player that's out. This one's a tough one. I am going to go with the Seagulls. I'm going to go with the Seagulls. Yeah, I'll go with the Seagulls. I'll stick to my guns. The Bulldogs do have a strong side, but I think the loss of Brett Morris could prove to be a pretty big one. And the forward pack, if their forward pack stands up, they could take it to them. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. It's definitely a tough one. Then we have got the Raiders v the Panthers. And the Raiders, so this one's interesting. Blake Austin is on the bench with Sam Williams to play at halfback, with Caesar obviously at 5'8". And then Soliola and Paul Vaughan are also on the interchange, as Elliot Whitehead is starting. And Jeff Lima is on the bench as well. So they've got a very solid bench. But another big one is winger Sisawanga is dropped for Jordan Rapana. So that's very surprising to me. I think Sisawanga is a very, very strong player. Obviously, Jordan Rapana is decent as well, but I don't know. I feel like Wanga is a decent player. I don't know if he's been in bad form in the trials or just in the preseason, but obviously they have their reasons for that. But yeah, they've got a strong bench. Obviously, Austin, Soliola. I'm not sure about that Austin on the bench, though. Soliola, Vaughan, Jeff Lima, Pat Deese will obviously drop off there. And then we look at the Panthers. So another huge loss of fullback, and that's Matt Moylan, who is out. I don't know how long for. I thought it was only like a month, maybe. So Wanga Blake, and actually no, Dean Fire is also out with a calf injury, as Wanga Blake slots in there. Will Smith is in for Moylan. And I've got to say, Dean Fire is actually a very big loss as well. In my opinion, he's probably the most underrated centre in the game. And he's not necessarily the best in attack, but his defense is, I would say, the best out of any centre. His defense is very good, so that's a big loss. But other than that, the team seems pretty solid. No injuries as of yet. A pretty good forward pack. Obviously, Trent Merrin's coming into the side. The bench seems pretty. The bench is actually really good. Tyrone Peachy, Lattimore, I'm not a big fan of, but Matangi, Impact, and then Elijah Taylor. So Tyrone Peachy, Taylor, and Matangi. That's very good bench. Obviously, no backup for Seguiara if he gets injured, but Elijah Taylor probably slot in at hooker. I am going to go with the Panthers here, though. I think the Austin on the bench is not the right decision. Obviously, the Moylan thing, I was tempted to go with the Raiders here, but I'm going to go with the Panthers. I think their side looks pretty strong regardless. So the Panthers to get over the Raiders. And then, who have we got? Tigers v the Warriors. So this one, it's a funny one because it is in Campbelltown. It's not at the Warriors' home ground, so that's always a bit of a loss for the Warriors, I guess. But as you see, Jordan Rankin gets the wing spot for obviously Pat Richards, who's left the Tigers now. And a big loss though. Luke Brooks is out, suspension. When Jack Littlejohn comes in for that, so that's a big omission. And this is hilarious when I saw this. Manoy Charrington is going to start at hooker with Matt Bellin and Robbie Farah both injured. Now, I knew Robbie Farah got injured, and I thought, oh, well, that's good for the Tigers. They can just play Bellin without any problems now. But Bellin's fucking injured as well. They got, like, all these dummy halves. Like, it was the most ridiculous thing. I still can't get over the fact that they signed Bellin and they couldn't get rid of Farah. So, it's just ridiculous. But now they're both injured, so no, Charrington has to play. And they got here Josh Aloi debuts on the bench. Now, I'm not sure if that's a typo or not, because I do know a Josh Aloi from in the Queensland Cup who was like a really strong player. I don't know if that's him. This might just be a different guy. So I'm not too sure about that. But the Tigers, Ballin, Farah, and Luke Brooks are out. That's a huge, huge loss. And straight away, I'm tipping the Warriors. The Warriors, there's nothing really of note here. Tuivasa-Sheck, Lola here on the wing. That's a bit of an interesting one. But Blake Ashford, Carter, Vatavai, Johnson, Robson. And, Jeff Robson isn't like the best player at all, but I feel like him and Johnson could be a pretty decent combination. And then the forward pack, Lilliman, Luke, Madalino, Ben Henry, Ryan Hoffman, Mannering. And the bench, Roach, not too sure of, Lasoni, James Cafe, and then a couple more here. Bodie Thompson, Rides, and Vate. Now, James Gavin, I was devastated. So, obviously, Gavin, I remember him playing for the Tigers a few years ago. And him and Tapau, those couple of years ago, they were just dominant for the Tigers. They were just bashing blokes. But then, obviously, Gavin moved to the Broncos. And I was, like, so happy. I was, like, ecstatic. I was real happy about that. But then Gavin last year, out for the entire season. And I think he did, I don't know, it's ACL or something like that. But then, of course, he leaves the Broncos, goes to the Warriors. I was disappointed, but the Warriors look even stronger. Definitely tipping the Warriors, Tigers. They could still win because the Warriors are away, but I can't tip against the Warriors. The side is too strong and too many omissions from the Tigers. And then we have another big match, the Cowboys versus the Sharks. So this is really unbelievable. So the Cowboys are fielding the exact same side as last year's grand final. I mean, when has that ever happened? I mean, that seems absolutely ridiculous that I haven't lost any players from last year's grand final. Has that ever happened before? I really don't think so. That's crazy. So the Cowboys, you know what you're going to expect. But then the Sharkies here. So Ben Barber actually goes to fullback. I know originally they were saying Jack Bird was going to play fullback, which I thought was a bit ridiculous because Bird's position is center, and they've got Valentine Holmes and Barber who are their fullback is their spot. So I thought that was ridiculous. But Bird is back into the centers like I thought he would be. And Jared Beal is actually not in the side. He's 18th man. So that's a little bit surprising. Obviously, Ricky Letali is a good player, and so is Fecky. So it's hard to fit them all in there. But I thought Beal was pretty good for the Sharks last year. And then obviously James Maloney and Chad Townsend. Totally different halves pairing for the Sharks. So they got a very strong side. But I've got to go for the Cowboys. They are at home as well. It's going to be tough conditions. Very hot in Queensland at the moment. It's fucking ridiculous. But yeah, the Cowboys too strong in this one. Although the Sharks, it's a good rivalry. But Cowboys will get up in that one. Hopefully. Then we move on to Sunday's game. We've got, one of Sunday's game. The Roosters and the Rabbitohs. I don't know what it is about the first round. It's like all these grudge matches. But the Roosters are a very rookie side, you got to say. So Latrell Mitchell, Jaden Nikorima, and Vincent Lululuai. Is that how you say that name? Do you say it Lululuai or is it Luluai? Because there's only two L's. I'm not sure. Can someone explain that to me? But we'll call him Lululuai, I guess. I haven't really heard of Vincent before. I heard he's a pretty good young player, but Latrell Mitchell is on the wing, and I guess he's a rookie. You wouldn't want to risk him at fullback at the moment, but I can't see Ferguson as a good fullback. I watched that the game in England, and Ferguson was not good at fullback. Under the high ball, obviously it was pretty bad. I'll give him a bit of credit. It was terrible conditions, but yeah, he didn't look comfortable under the high balls at all. But yeah, the Roosters, they look decent. Yeah, this one's a real tough one, honestly, because it's really hard to know. And the Roosters do have a fair few guys out, obviously, with Boyd Cordner, Hargraves, obviously the Pierce thing. But then we look at the Rabbitohs. Sam Burgess is actually at prop for Tom Burgess, and also George Burgess is out for suspension. What are all these suspensions in the trials? What the hell? And Paul Carter is actually into the back row. So I remember, didn't he do something wrong? Wasn't he originally with the Titans? He was a good young player, but then he did some bullshit and got sacked. But now he's at the Rabbitohs. And the other one here that of note, Heimel Hunt is at centre instead of Arvau. So that's very surprising. I rate Arvau very highly. Heimel Hunt's a good young player, obviously from the Storm though. So yeah, it's a tough one. I'd probably have Arvau instead of Goodwin. Oh, Goodwin's decent as well. I don't know. It's tough. But this game, man, this game's really difficult. And obviously Cody Walker is in for Moses and Bly as well. It's tough because, you got two of the Burgess boys out, and you've got two good forwards for the Roosters out. I'm going to go, man, this is a tough one, man. I don't know. I should have thought about this before I started, but I'm actually going to go with the Rabbitohs. I'm going to go with the Rabbitohs just because Jaden Nikorima obviously played very good in England, but it's a different kettle of fish in the NRL. And just a couple of big forwards, I think, really hurt them. I think the Rabbitohs can cover it a bit better. Sam Burgess, big inclusion. I think Cody Walker for Mbai is actually good for the Rabbitohs because Walker is like a great talent. He's an exceptional player. So I'm going to go with the Rabbitohs. It's going to be a tough one though. Then we have the Knights v Titans, the fucking wooden spoon favourites here. I think the Titans are actually a better side than the Knights, but we'll have a look at that. So Nathan Davis is playing at centre, and Parsi and Taylor are starting, and Ryan James has been moved to the bench. So that's a little surprising, but you know, it makes their bench a bit more have a bit more impact, I guess. But yeah, it's surprising. I mean, if you look at the Titans backline, I'm not a big fan. Zillman, Don, Hoffman, Davis, David Mead, Roberts, Taylor. So Taylor, good young player, not proven though. Tyrone Roberts, I wasn't a big fan of him, but he can do some good. Some games he's on, some games he's off. Hopefully he can be a bit more consistent. David Mead, I'm a huge fan of. I think he's a great winger. Nathan Davies, I have no idea. I've never seen him. Josh Hoffman, I think he's a great player. I would have him at fullback every week. I don't know why Zillman's there. Don, I'm not a big fan of. Zillman, I'm not a huge fan of. But then their forward pack is actually really good. So Shillington, Friend, Parsi, Taya, Chris McQueen, Greg Bird, Eddie Pettybourne, Ryan James, Pulu, don't know who he is, Mortimer, probably coming off the bench to fill in for Friend. Yeah, Mortimer I'm not a big fan of, but they got a couple of... Their forward pack is actually pretty good. The Knights, however, they have Jalen Feeney. So obviously Memo, Jake Memo was like the wonder kid. Can't stand him. He's a fucking cunt of a player, but kind of offend someone. But Jalen Feeney coming in for him. People were surprised with that. Chanel Matatia, Dane Gagai, Pat Matatia, Kiluate, Jared Mullen, Trent Hodkinson. I feel like their backline is better than the Titans. Their backline, their halves are solid. Their actual backline is very unknown and exciting, I would say. Dane Gaga, obviously a great player. Kiluate can be a great player. But the other three, pretty unknowns, I guess. Their forward pack is definitely not very strong, in my opinion, though. You've got Jeremy Smith still there. Sam Mataora, okay. Kane Snowden, okay. Tyler Randall is into the hooker position. Who was the other guy? I can't think of the other guy's name, but he's a good hooker that he's not playing, but I can't think of his name. Corbin Sims is on the bench, which is surprising. And Paulie from the Eels, he's actually a very good player as well. But and then you've got these two guys, Jacob Safidi and Daniel Safidi, the two twins. I think they're like 18 or something like that. I think it's like the first twins to debut for a club in like ever or something like that. But Daniel might not even play. He's 18th man, so we'll see what happens there. I am going to go with the Titans though. I think the Knights, too many changes. It's going to take them a bit to warm up. The Titans, they got heaps of changes as well, but I'm going to go with the Titans. Queenslanders all the way. And then, is this the last game? Okay, last game. I've been going on for bloody forever, but Storm v Dragons. So this one, Billy Slater is in, obviously. All the big three are playing. And I mean, let's just go through this side. It's strong. Slater, Corabetti, Will Chambers, Richard Kenner, Tona Mapea, Blake Green, Cooper Cronk, very strong backline. Jesse Bromwich, Cameron Smith, John McLean, Kevin Proctor, Tohu Harris, Del Finucane. Very strong forward pack. You got like 1, 2, 3, 4 internationals in the forward pack there. That's crazy. And then on the bench, Kenny Bromwich, Tim Glasby, Ben Hampton, Christian Welsh, Felice Kafusi, and Solomona. Felice Kafusi is a very good player. I really hope he plays. But yeah, the Storm, very strong. And then the Dragons here. Kurt Mann is playing at fullback. I don't know why Dugan wants to play in the centres, but that's what they've gone for. And Tim Laffey, obviously, into the side. And the other one, Russell Packer, is starting. So I'm surprised they threw Packer straight into the starting position, but I've got to go with the Storm. Storm, yeah, they're at home as well. I'm tipping the Storm. I think the Dragons have a pretty good forward pack, Leeson Armel, I think, is an awesome player. Mitch Rain, decent. Russell Packer, well, we'll see. He's back when he used to play, he was pretty aggressive. Will Matthews, decent player. Joel Thompson, Mike Cooper, Then Ben Craig, Ballon, Louis, Havili. Don't know who of these will play. Jake Marketo. I don't know why Marketo is not like. Surely they're gonna put Marketo on the bench. He's a good player. But yeah, I'm gonna tip the Storm. I think the Dragons defense will be good, but I don't think their attack will be that good. And I think the Storm's defense will be good, but I think their attack will just be a bit better. So that's pretty much it. So yeah, they're my tips. This video's gone on for days, but yeah, put in the comments your tips, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you boys next time.